Good evening, everyone. Thank you all very much for coming. And thank you very much to the Gotchans for having us all here this afternoon. It looks lovely. I've known Steve, being his older brother, for about almost the last 26 years, since the day he was born, although the memory's a little fuzzy as I was not even quite 2 years old at the time. But we had a little time to get to know each other since then. So, Steve is a younger brother who has been, to me, actually, a tremendous inspiration and a guide. You often think of a younger brother looking up to his older brother, but I've been looking up to Steve for a long time. He's one of the most honest, genuine, hardworking people that I know, and also extremely generous. And so I'm very glad to see him today married to Katie, because Katie is also
no crying.
a wonderfully kind and cheerful and generous person. And I've been very happy to get to know her over the last several years. And also her family, I've been able to get to know them very well. As I lived in California most of the time that these guys were dating and courting. And the Gotchans are always opening their house to me whenever I could just stop by any time and have a meal. They'd always have something ready for me, or spend the weekend if I needed to, or whatever. When Steve was in town, I'd always be here. And it's a very wonderful, generous family. I've gotten to know many of the brothers and their wives and the beautiful nieces and nephews of Katie and Steve now as well. And so it's a great pleasure for me to be here with them today and to be with the Gotchans. And so we're celebrating Steve and Katie, two people who I'm sure you all can think of your own experiences with them and remember how wonderful they are. But we're also celebrating today the sacrament of matrimony. And as we all know, a sacrament is a sign. And Steve and Katie themselves are a sign for us of God's love. As Father Edwin reminded us today, as they commit to each other in good times and in bad, they're a sign of his unconditional love. And as they commit to each other until death, they're a sign of his eternal love. And as they hopefully will bring children into the world, they're a sign of his creative love. And so today we celebrate that sacrament. And so I'm very glad that you're all here with us. And so let's raise a glass to Steve and Katie. May God bless them with many long and happy, fruitful years together in the company of the Blessed Virgin, under the protection of St. Joseph, and in the bosom of his church. May he give them the courage and the perseverance to endure all the many trials that will come. And in the end, may he grant them eternal life.
It's been an excellent taste of South Dakota, which a lot of people from my side have never experienced before. And we've been really enjoying it, so thank you. As some of you may know, I was married to my lovely bride, Katie, just 2 months ago. And Greg was my best man. So I pretty much don't have to worry because he can't get back at me. So anyway, I should be nice though, because Greg didn't say a single thing to embarrass me. He was actually really good to me at my wedding. So, I shouldn't tell you about the time that he got me disqualified from the only sailing race that I ever won. I did cheat, but it was the only time I came close to winning. Yeah, I shouldn't tell you about that. Or the time he convinced me that dressing up like a ballerina for Halloween was a great idea in 5th grade. Now, I shouldn't tell you about that. Or the many times that he and his friends would leave me in the woods in the park down the street from our house to find my way back home. No, I shouldn't talk about that stuff. If I wanted to come close to being as nice and as great as Greg was in my speech, so I'm not going to tell you guys about those things. No. But on a serious note, Greg and I are 20 months apart, and I've known him as long as I can remember. He was always my hero. It's funny because he said that he looked up to me in my speech, or at my wedding, and never would have guessed it. I always looked up to Greg. It seemed like he beat me at everything. And I was thinking about it as I was reflecting for this speech, and I think that he just convinced me that he beat me half the time. That's what I'm thinking. So anyway, I feel a little better about myself now that I've reflected on that. But
get it off your chest.
Yeah. Greg has been just an incredible influence on my life. always has pushed me further than I wanted to go. Whether it was on ski trails, actually not ski trails, in the woods, wondering if we'd find the trail, falling into holes that there may have been bears in, not sure. You know, tipping over the sailboat just to see if we could get it back up in heavy winds. Boogie boarding in thunderstorms and torrential rains. You know, again, I figured, you know, if Greg's doing this, this is fine. And in hindsight, I think he was probably thinking the same thing, so. We got into a lot of trouble, and thank God we're still alive today. But, let's see, I have to cut some of this out. I can't exactly remember the first time I met Becky, but I think it was in her tiny little office at Thomas Aquinas, the summer of their senior year, before they were going into their senior year. And Greg and Becky started dating close to when Katie and I did. And so Greg and I were able to bond in many ways because we were going through one of our first serious relationships. And it was great to see Greg, the way that he would talk about Becky and interact with her. You know, it was a side of Greg that we'd never really seen before. You were in the seminary for what, 5 years? You sure weren't acting lovey-dovey on the football field with us. But anyway, it was really great to see the two of you and have you as an example. You're both great people. It's obvious with all these great friends that you have. And you know, you just have a solid faith that obviously started with our parents, and they established the roots, but you guys continued to grow that faith. And it's on that rock that you're gonna build your family. So, you guys are in good. You guys are in good shape. And Becky, I really think you're a saint, especially with the new revelation that Greg wants to be a farmer. Like, you thought I wasn't going to bring that up. But I won't go too far into that. But we really are happy for the two of you. It's great to see Uncle Rob is here with some of his many kids. And it's great to see all of those young Funsteins to continue the name, because it is such a fun name. But it's also great that we've got these three new couples ready to produce some more young Funsteins. So, sorry, the race is on. Dad, is there like a $1,000 bet or anything on that? Okay. But when Katie and I were getting married, she was having a really difficult time losing her other German name, Gottrin. And she was talking about doing a hyphening, Gottrin Funstein. It sounded a little too German. So we talked about actually cutting it off and doing Got Fun. See how that was? So I was thinking about it, and Greg and Becky, have you thought about Fun Daily or Daily Fun? No? Think about it. We will if you will. I know a lot of other people want to come up here, so, and you're all welcome to. We had a really good time last night. This is just the encore from that. But I'd like to toast you guys. I don't have a glass, but I do have a glass. Greg and Becky, may you always be as fertile as your fields. And may your livestock always smell worse than you do. And Greg, may you always understand what it really means to bring home the bacon.